Ladies and gentlemen, and warm welcome to Angie Overkill Hill in-house over in Sao Paulo, up against Denise Gomes. Throughout the card, we've got Brazil versus foreign power. In this case, it's you. You're the away team. How does that feel?
It feels fun. I feel like I'm I don't know, going into enemy territory for the first time in a long time. I don't think I've it hasn't happened in a while. Like usually I'm fighting in states. So usually it's just like American versus American. And everyone's like, all right. There's no side to pick. So I'm excited this time because it's gonna be a lot. Like there's gonna be a lot of energy in the arena. It's my first time fighting in Brazil, but it's also my first time being in Brazil. So yeah, I'm excited to see what that feels like.
This is your first time in Brazil?
Yeah, never been.
Wow, that is cool. The first time in a country to be fighting there. That's special. I mean, you've done a lot in your career. Are you at a stage where you're trying to like drink it in now and remind yourself that you need to enjoy these moments, that you're doing something that like your hands and your kicks are taking you across the world? Like, are you kind of aware of that?
Yeah, it's weird. But I always have these little moments where I'm like, this is pretty cool, you know. At this point in my career, I think I'm in like a gratitude uh moment where every time I'm traveling, every time I'm seeing someone coming into the UFC who maybe doesn't have that many fights yet, still getting used to it, I just realize how far I've come and how kind of lucky I am to be in my position. I know like it's easy to complain about what could be better, and things could always be better, but it is cool to be able to look at my career and look at like my bank account, look at things where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty well off, like especially for an MMA fighter, like I'm doing all right. Especially for a female MMA fighter, like there's all these little things where I've been able to get a lot of success just from punching people in the face and just from taking big risk. And I'm pretty happy with where I am right now.
Talk to me about Denise Gomes. What do you see in her? I mean, her last fight, she got 20-second knockout. Yeah, what do you see in front of you?
I see a girl with power, but I also see that there's a lot of areas where I can exploit her greenness. I know she's relatively new to fighting, relatively new to the UFC. I started kind of late when I got into fighting. Like I started at 24, but at this point, I feel like I have a wealth of knowledge. I feel like I can do it in my sleep, and there's a lot of techniques that I feel like I'm at the point where I've forgotten more techniques than I need to learn. So yeah, it's a weird one because yes, she has that raw power, she has that potential to be a great fighter, but I still think she has a lot to learn, and that's my goal, is to teach her that.
She is. I mean, she's 23 years old. That is young, like so she's kind of fresh off the boat, but are you here to show her a different level?
Hmm. Yeah, she's 23 and I started at 24. But like, I'm an old lady now. So I have a lot of skills at this point. I have a lot of that old lady muscle, I like to say, where you look at yourself, you thought you were ripped when you were in your 20s, but then you get to your 30s and you're like, oh, this stuff isn't going anywhere. Like this is like set in stone. So I feel like I'll be able to just use my hardness against her, and I still feel like young. I still feel fresh. Still feel light on my feet. I know I can still hit hard. I know I can still take a punch. So all those things are gonna work well for me fighting, like a younger girl. She's scrappy, but I just feel like scrappy I do well against. It's I can work my way around that and figure out ways to beat someone like that.
How do you feel about the Dern fight? I mean, it's kind of another Brazilian. I think she's American, but is it frustrating having to pick up your momentum again? You came into that one on a good run, and this is what the game is like, right? But you're still number 12 in the world.
Yeah, that fight was a lot. It was pretty frustrating. I felt like Before that, I hadn't really gotten beat up. I've lost fights, but not really beat up. And that was the first time I felt like, oh man, I got beat up. And there was a lot of, I guess, mental struggle, I think, in that fight, where it was a weird one where a lot of stuff happened that that really no one expected, including me in my corner. Like I was doing well on the ground. I was getting hit on the feet, and it's just like, this isn't the fight that we prepared for. So I felt like it was hard to pivot in that fight, and I felt like it was hard to accept, like, oh, I was on her back last round. Maybe I should try to do that again, and like it was just a weird one where I had to look at myself and really reassess what I felt about myself, like how I feel about my skills, how I feel about myself as a fighter, and why am I doubting myself in these certain positions when I'm at the point where I can tap a black belt. I can, like, just stand with anyone. So I think after that soul searching and just get that confidence back, because I know that I can be confident against someone like a Denise Gomes or someone like a Emily Ducote. But when it comes to those people who have the big hype train behind behind them, the people who like have been training since they were a baby in a certain sport, like for whatever reason, I'm able to psych myself out and say, okay, I'm not going to beat him here. I'm going to just try to do that. And if that doesn't happen in the fight, like my brain wasn't accepting it. So I think I just had to work on building my confidence. And it's a weird one because, like, as a fighter, you always pretend to be confident even when you're not, and you expect it to just trickle down. Like if I fake it, eventually I'll start believing it. But I had to do a little more work in order to believe in how good I was. And like my corner believes that I'm good enough. My husband believes I'm good enough, but for whatever reason, I still had that doubt in my head. And I think that's what held me back in that fight. And I wasn't able to see the opportunities to win as clearly, just because I was set on, like, no, I have to win the fight this way. So that was like a good, I guess, lesson for me to learn. Like, hey, I can't just focus on the physical. I have to focus on the mental a little bit, and hopefully that'll get me to the next level.
You said you earned good money for a female MMA fighter, enough to get a red Lamborghini and drive it really fast. You reckon? That's a
What?
Derrick Lewis reference. Did you see that he got done for speeding in a red Lamborghini? It's just a hell of an image for me.
Yeah, no, I did see. I didn't see the the red Lamborghini part. I just saw that he got arrested, and my first thought was that he got arrested in Brazil, and I was like, "Oh no!" But yeah, that would be fun. I'm not big on cars. I'm more like, I'm gonna buy a house.
Yeah, smart. So I wanted to ask you about the Ngannou fight, because like a lot of people saying Rocky, he's Rocky, and I'm hearing that Rocky music in my head when I see Ngannou. But like my buddy John Nutt from Fight Circus brought up, what about Tyson Fury? That man's Apollo Creed. He played the role of Apollo, and he's the best fight promoter in the world right now. He set up this absolute payday of a rematch, and he sold that fight beautifully. And he's the best boxer in the world. So I just want to know what you think about both those guys, and kind of the doors that fight might have opened up for people.
Well, Francis Ngannou, first of all, like, I was so amazed that he was able to perform the way he did. And it's given me this, like, I don't know, this giddiness all week because that happened. And I always think about my career after the UFC, like, man, what's that gonna look like? I've always loved boxing. I've always done well against boxers. So I feel like a lot of MMA fighters with hands are looking at that and like, oh man, like he just put us out there. Like he just set the bar so high, and now we have more opportunities than just getting out of UFC and fighting Jake Paul, So I think this is a huge get for the MMA community, a huge get for Francis, obviously. And it just shows that MMA fighters are good at what they do. We're so good that we have to be as good as Tyson Fury, but also as good as, like, I don't know, some famous grappler and also as good as this guy, and mash it all together in order to make like one good MMA fighter. And I think just showing that you have the skills to perform against someone like that, knock him down, win in everyone's hearts, like win in boxing fans' eyes. That's a huge get. And I think we might have gotten a lot of boxing fans off of Francis Ngannou just doing that to Tyson Fury.
We've got to have a movie, right? One day.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. And then like if the rematch happens, that's even bigger. You know, that's such a big fight. You always have that angle like Fury wasn't taking him seriously this time. He's gonna try to make a point of it. And then if he wins, like if Francis wins that one, then they get to have a trilogy. So it's like there's a lot of money to be made. And I think the storyline is awesome. And I think a lot of people are gonna jump to watch that, because before, like, you know, it kind of becomes boring when Fury keeps winning and there's not a new challenge for him, and you're like, okay, we're gonna see the same fight where he might get dropped, but then he's gonna come back up like you know, come back up like Nosferatu and just like win the fight. This was a hard fight for him, aside from him getting dropped. Like the rounds were hard. It wasn't just him winning and then getting hurt. So I think it's a really exciting fight for both of them to make again. And yeah, I think boxing versus MMA, like MMA has a ton of fans now, and we can actually compete with the amount of fans that boxing has. And it just makes a really fun night of fighting.
Right. We're going to wrap up with a quick fire. Quick fire. You can go with
Yeah.
guys or girls. Up to you. Who's the best wrestler right now in the UFC?
Uh, Probably Chimaev, right?
Who's the funniest?
Like, funniest. I think I'm pretty funny, but Derrick Lewis, yeah, Derrick Lewis is pretty funny.
Who's the best looking?
Best looking. I don't know. Why is that the hardest one? Best looking.
Yeah, guy or
Um,
girl?
Guy or girl. Ah, who's a who's cute. Yeah, come back to me on that
Pass.
one.
Best dressed?
Best dressed. Man, you asking me like uh cosmopolitan questions. Like,
First name on the top of your head.
best dressed. Adesanya.
Who's got the coolest tattoos?
Ooh. That's what I was gonna say. Darren Elkins, the damage.
Who would you most like to go for dinner with?
mm, Derek Lewis.
Who would make the best movie star?
Oh, movie star, movie star, movie star. Mm, who's funny? I'll say Derek Lewis again.
Who's the most annoying?
Most annoying. Sajida.
Best fight IQ?
mm, I- Probably Khabib.
Best hands?
Francis Ngannou.
Who would you most want by your side in a street fight?
Francis Ngannou.
Who would be your dream fight in any weight class, past or present?
mm, Dang. Dream fight. Dream fight. Past or present? I don't know.
Very considered. Very
Huh?
considered answers.
This is a hard one.
No one pops in like no. Who pops into your head like immediately? Nobody.
I mean, it's just people I'm a fan of, not people I want to fight. Like they're all gonna beat me up.
I assume the champion
Genki
then would.
Suda.
Sorry,
Genki Suda.
Genki Sudo. Oh wow, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
that'd be
And
a fun one.
any shout for the best looking fighter in the UFC?
Oh my God. Who's the best looking fighter? Fuck, I don't know. I'm going through everyone in my head, and I'm like, there has to be someone that I think is cute.
Girl or guy? But if not, no worries.
I can't think of it.
We'll get it next time. Anyway, we're overkill. We are over time. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And good luck. Enjoy
Okay.
Sao Paulo. Enjoy Brazil.